Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Tinkercad to program an Arduino. An Arduino is a small programmable circuit board used by people all over the world for different kinds of projects, robotics, RC planes, water pumps, light shows. It's super versatile and super cheap. It's only around 9 to 10 bucks. So here's how we get started. The first thing we need to do is click on our basic components here, and we go down and we go to our Arduino and we click on an Arduino and it will add an Arduino. Next, I'm going to make it so that a light turns on and off. That'll be our first project. So I'm going to drag a light in here, and I'm also going to drag a resistor because I want to make sure that I don't blow up my LED. So then I go from the cathode to the resistor and the resistor to ground. Remember, the cathode's the negative one or the ground wire. Okay. Now for power, I'm going to take it from the anode and go here to number 2, to pin 2, because I like the number 2. So now we're going to turn on the simulation and see what happens. Nothing happens. That's because I haven't told the Arduino to do anything yet. So to do that, I have to go here to this tab where it says code and click on that. Now there's this built-in code here, but we're going to turn this off for now. We're going to make our own code. So for those of you who have used Scratch before, this is very similar to Scratch. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell it to say, hey, set pin 2 to high. So that tells it to give pin 2 power or high power. Then we're going to tell it to wait. Then we're going to go back to output. Now we use outputs because we're telling the Arduino to affect something outside of itself. We are giving it a signal out. Okay, and that's going to be important for later when we do something a little bit different. So we're going to set pin 2 to low, and then we're going to wait 1 second. So what we're telling the Arduino to do here is to set pin 2 to high, which means turn it on, wait 1 second, set pin 2 to low, which means to turn it off. So when I start my simulation now, you're going to see that my red light turns on and off. It's pretty cool. Let's go one step further. Let's say I want to have a button trigger my output, trigger my light. So I'm going to get rid of this code here, and we're going to add a button. Okay, so let's start by adding a button. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the button, put it over here, then we're going to go from 0 to this side, and then from this side we're going to ground the button. We're going to add the button to the ground. Okay, so the button goes from 0 to ground. Now we have to code our button to work and to activate our light. So here's how we do that. We go to code. Now we have to make an if statement because I want to tell it if. So we're going to use an if else statement. And then we have to use a little bit of math. So we're going to go math if something is greater than something or less than something. And this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. So we have to use if read digital pin 0, because this is a digital pin 0, is less than 1, then do something. So that means that once this button is triggered, do something. Otherwise, do this other thing. So we're going to tell it, if read digital pin 0, then set pin 2 to low. Then else, so what I did there is I right-clicked and hit duplicate, else set pin 2 to high. So let's run it. Check this out. Boop, turns it off, turns it on, turns it off, turns it on, turns it off, turns it on, turns it off, turns it on. So we can have the button affect the light. What we could do next is we can actually program a real Arduino with the code that we have. There are 2 ways to do this. One, we can click on the download code, which creates an Eno file, which the Arduino interface uses, or you can switch to blocks and text and copy and paste this into your Arduino code compiler. It's pretty cool. I highly recommend you give it a shot.